And may the Schwartz be with you.
Back then, Mel Brooks, the same man who made Young Frankenstein, gave us a Star Wars parody at a time when even joking about Star Wars felt risky. In 1987, Mel Brooks said, "Hold my matzo ball," and made Spaceballs. Anyway, this was the ultimate parody, a movie that dared to make fun of the biggest franchise in history. While George Lucas was still counting his toy money, Bill Pullman played the unsure hero Lone Star. John Candy was his loyal Mog sidekick, Barf. Daphne Zuniga was Princess Vespa. Rick Moranis was the very funny and insecure Dark Helmet. And Brooks himself played two roles as both President Scroob and the wise golden guru Yogurt. It wasn't exactly a huge hit. Critics didn't care much about it, but it somehow became one of the most quoted parody movies in film history. Today, we're counting down 15 weird facts you never knew about Spaceballs, from the real reason George Lucas gave it his support, to the rotting pizza puppet that almost killed a guy, to the long-running meta joke that somehow turned into a real movie. Oh, and stay until number 15, because the story of how this flop became a cult classic proves that sometimes the best revenge is just outlasting everyone who doubted you. Now, before we begin, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss our next deep dive into the wild chaos of 80s cinema. Now, let's fire up the Schwartz with number 1. The extremely long opening was done on purpose. Remember when Star Wars A New Hope opened with that huge Star Destroyer slowly crossing the screen and everyone was amazed? Yeah, Mel Brooks saw that and thought, great, now let's stretch it so long that people start checking their watches. The opening of Spaceballs is a perfect example of fully committing to the joke. One incredibly long tracking shot of Spaceball 1 floating through space and floating and floating. More than 80 seconds of nothing but ship. No change in music, no dialogue, just pure stubborn effort. Brooks later admitted he told the crew to keep filming long past the point of common sense. His idea was that the longer the audience waited for the punchline, the funnier it would be when it finally arrived. And he was right. When the back end of that ship finally shows up on screen, you're not just laughing, you're actually begging for the joke to land. Then, just when you think it's finally over, you notice the bumper sticker and the license plate that read Spaceballs 1. The payoff hits perfectly, proving the whole scene was one huge, carefully timed joke making fun of Star Wars on an epic level. Brooks later joked that the scene taught audiences patience, or pain. It sets the tone. Take something epic, stretch it beyond reason, and make the release of that tension the joke.
Number 2. George Lucas gave it his approval, but with one big condition. Mel Brooks wasn't foolish. You don't make fun of the biggest sci-fi franchise in history without asking first. That's how you end up in a huge legal mess before the opening scene even finishes. So before filming began, Brooks picked up the phone and called George Lucas himself. And Lucas loved the idea. He even gave his blessing with a famous line, "The Schwartz is with you."
May the Schwartz be with you.
But there was one condition. No merchandise, no toys, no lunchboxes, no Spaceballs action figures. Why? Because Lucas was already making huge amounts of money from Star Wars toys, and he wasn't about to let Mel Brooks take even a tiny piece of that space cash. The merchandise empire belonged to him and only him. Mel Brooks agreed right away, but instead of feeling upset, he turned the rule into pure comedy gold. Brooks turned the ban into a running joke. Spaceballs the t-shirt, the coloring book, the lunchbox, the breakfast cereal, and of course, we can't forget Spaceballs the flamethrower.
Spaceballs the flamethrower! The kids love this one.
Mel Brooks lost a merchandising deal and somehow made it even funnier than if he had won. The movie couldn't sell merchandise, so it made fun of merchandise, and that joke became legendary. Number 3. Rick Moranis basically created Dark Helmet. Remember when movie villains were actually scary? Darth Vader was choking people through a screen and making audiences truly uncomfortable. Mel Brooks saw that and said, what if we made him insecure?
I can't breathe in this thing!
We're approaching planet Druidia, sir.
Good.
Enter Dark Helmet, a villain who is equal parts Darth Vader, playground bully, and a middle manager having a very public breakdown. And here's the thing, Rick Moranis didn't just play Dark Helmet, he created him. The oversized mask that he can't see out of was Moranis' idea. The action figure battle scene was Moranis' idea. Even half of the dialogue came from Moranis.
Brooks later said Moranis would arrive on set with new ideas every single day, and instead of stopping him, Brooks just told him to go for it. That's how we got Dark Helmet playing with dolls in his control room like a kid who is left alone for far too long.
I don't see Planet Druidia. Where is it? We don't have visual contact yet, sir, but we have it on the radar screen. Shall I punch it up for you?
Never mind. I'll do it myself.
Very good, sir.
And that perfectly serious, flat delivery line?
Evil will always triumph, because good is dumb.
Cue Moranis' performance, wrapped in 4 feet of black plastic and full of nervous energy turned into comedy. The secret is Moranis played it completely straight. He wasn't trying to be funny, which made it even funnier. The guy looked absolutely ridiculous, but he believed every second of it. Brooks knew what he had. Dark Helmet worked because Moranis fully committed to being a villain who couldn't even scare a toaster. Some actors need weeks of character workshops and backstory, but Rick Moranis, all he needed was an oversized helmet and permission to throw a tantrum with full conviction. That's not acting, that's pure genius in a poorly fitting mask.
Number 4. John Candy almost walked away from Barf. John Candy nearly didn't join Spaceballs, and we came dangerously close to losing one of the best half-man, half-dog performances in movie history. When Mel Brooks first offered him the role of Barf, short for Bartholomew, because of course it is, Candy took one look at the original costume design and said absolutely not. The plan was to put him in a full-face dog mask, which would have buried every bit of John Candy's warmth and charm under pounds of latex and fur, basically turning him into a generic puppet that anyone could play. Brooks realized right away he had messed up. He later said, "If I'm gonna hide John Candy's face behind that thing, I might as well hire someone else for 1/10 of the price." So he scrapped the mask on the spot and promised Candy a new design, something light, expressive, and actually wearable for more than 5 minutes without causing heat stroke. The final costume used just a small nose piece, a bit of carefully placed fur, and a custom rig for Barf's motorized ears and tail.
I'm a Mog. Half man, half dog. I'm my own best friend.
Now here's the best part. Candy controlled the tail himself with a hidden switch inside his paw glove. Every wag, every twitch you see on screen, that was Candy puppeteering his own tail in real time. The ears, meanwhile, were operated by a puppeteer off camera, but the tail was all Candy, which meant he could hit every comedic moment perfectly. The result is a character that felt alive, silly, and unmistakably John Candy. You could see his expressions, his warmth, and that lovable goofball energy shining through the fur. In true Brooks fashion, he said that Barf was Chewbacca's cousin, if Chewbacca had a union card and a pension plan. Honestly, it's a perfect description. Candy made you care about a character whose name is literally a bodily function. Number 5. Bill Pullman beat out George Clooney and was building decks at the time. Before Bill Pullman was saving Earth from aliens in Independence Day or sweeping Sandra Bullock off her feet and while you were sleeping, he was building decks. No, literally. He was a stage actor paying his bills with carpentry work, swinging a hammer between auditions. So how did a guy with sawdust in his hair end up playing Spaceballs' Han Solo knockoff? Well, Mel Brooks was looking for what he called a Harrison Ford type, someone with leading man looks and roguish charm. He auditioned a few familiar names. Tom Cruise came in, George Clooney came in, and while both were talented and charming, they were still a little too cool. Brooks later said Clooney's audition seemed too smirky. Lone Star wasn't supposed to be smug. He was supposed to be a hero who barely knew what he was doing half the time.
Oh, well, we're too late. What a shame. I'll just throw in reverse. We'll get out of here.
Barf, no, bad.
A guy who stumbled into heroism and just kind of went with it. Enter Bill Pullman, the perfect mix of leading man looks and wait, how did I end up in space energy? Brooks said Pullman was exactly what he needed, a straight man surrounded by chaos. With John Candy as Barf and Rick Moranis going all out as Dark Helmet, Pullman's calm, grounded delivery made the absurdity even funnier.
On the ship, I don't take orders, I give them. This is my dream boat, sweetheart.
Pullman later admitted he was genuinely nervous stepping onto set with comedy legends like Candy and Moranis. But by the end of filming, he had learned a masterclass in comedic timing. Lessons, he said, helped him in his bigger hits. It turns out you don't need to be Harrison Ford when you can play confused but heroic just as well and make it look effortless while doing it.
Number 6. John Hurt died twice and loved every second of it.
Remember when Alien made everyone terrified of eating dinner in space? Mel Brooks took that famous chest-bursting scene and turned it into vaudeville. The diner scene in Spaceballs isn't just a quick joke. It's one of the most detailed movie parodies ever filmed, and it only worked because John Hurt agreed to make fun of his own death from Alien in 1979. When Brooks first suggested the idea, he told Hurt it would be a quick cameo, maybe a line or two, in and out, easy paycheck. Hurt said, sure, why not? Then he arrived on set and found a full replica of the Alien mess hall waiting for him, with the same table, the same panicking crew, and everything matching the original scene. At that point, most actors would have run away, but Hurt leaned in. The scene starts just like the original. Hurt clutches his chest. The diner staff leans in, worried. He delivers the perfect line.
Oh no, not again.
And that's when it completely goes off the rails. The baby alien pops out, grabs a tiny top hat and cane, and starts a full song and dance routine, like it just wandered off a Looney Tunes set.
And tell me I'm your own.
Hurt filmed the entire scene in a single day, and he loved it. He later called it, quote, the most fun I've ever had dying twice. The funny part was that the alien chestburster was one of the scariest moments in movie history, and Brooks turned it into a musical number, which somehow made it just as unforgettable. Brooks took one of film's most frightening scenes, mixed it with a cartoon-style routine, and got the original actor to come back and do it all over again, willingly. Number 7. Planet of the Apes got the Spaceballs treatment. You know a movie ending is iconic when Spaceballs can't resist turning it into a joke. The final scene, where the wreckage of Mega Maid crashes on a sandy beach, is Mel Brooks at his parody best. It's a direct spoof of the Planet of the Apes finale, where a half-buried Statue of Liberty reveals the planet was Earth all along. In Spaceballs, Brooks uses the same idea but replaces Lady Liberty with Mega Maid's decapitated head. Two apes on horseback ride up and deliver the most ridiculous exchange possible.
Dear me, what are those things coming out of her nose?
Hey, watch my helmet.
Spaceballs?
Oh shit, there goes the planet.
It's absurd. It's brilliant. It's peak Mel Brooks, turning one of cinema's most serious moments into a joke about industrial-strength vacuum cleaners. Brooks loved the gag so much that he reportedly called it his favorite moment in the film. Number 8. Dot Matrix's costume was literal torture. Remember C-3PO, the fussy gold droid from Star Wars? Well, Spaceballs took that idea, turned up the sass, and added Joan Rivers.
I know very little about Dot Matrix and Spaceballs because I was called in as kind of a Band-Aid person.
Dot Matrix, Princess Vespa's golden lady-in-waiting, was brought to life by two women working in completely different ways. Mime and dancer Laureen Yarniel did the physical performance on set, while Joan Rivers provided the voice from a recording booth, turning Dot into the queen of snarky robotic side-eye. That shiny gold suit looked amazing under the lights, but felt like a car hood.
Let me know how it turns out. Come back here, Dot.
Come on, we gotta keep going.
Did you?
It was made of rigid fiberglass, so tight that Yarnell couldn't sit or lift her arms. That stiffness actually helped, though. Yarnell's awkward walk looked perfectly robotic, exactly what the parody needed. Joan Rivers gave Dot her edge, delivering lines with perfect Vegas headliner timing. Together, they pulled off the impossible, one actor sweating in fiberglass armor, the other cracking jokes from a soundproof booth. And somehow, it all felt completely seamless.
Not bad for a girl.
Hey, that was pretty good for Rambo.
Let's blow this joint.
Now, let's take a quick break before we fire up the Schwartz again. And seriously, if you're not already wondering how John Hurt agreed to die twice or why John Candy's tail had a remote control, we can't be friends. So, here's my question for you. What's your favorite Mel Brooks movie? Is it Spaceballs, Blazing Saddles, Young Frankenstein, or something even weirder? Drop your answer in the comments section below because we read every single one. And don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss our next trip through the glorious madness of retro film history. All right, let's get back to it because we still have golden paint, disco soundtracks, and a melting pizza monster ahead. Number 9, the VHS scene that broke everything. Remember when VCRs were cutting edge and half your Friday night was spent rewinding tapes because the person before you didn't bother to rewind? Brooks bought a VCR, watched Star Wars at home, and had a thought only he could have. What if the villains in my movie could watch my movie while it's still happening? That idea became one of Spaceballs' most brilliant meta-jokes, the instant cassette scene.
Instant cassettes. They're out in stores before the movie is finished. Nah.
Here it is, sir. Spaceballs.
When Dark Helmet and President Scroob can't find Princess Vespa, they pop in a VHS copy of Spaceballs the movie to see where the heroes went. They fast forward, rewind, and pause through the film until they land on themselves.
What the hell am I looking at? When does this happen in the movie?
Now. You're looking at now, sir. Everything that happens now is happening now.
It's a joke so good that it still works decades later. A parody inside a parody that almost predicted our pause and rewind era. Brooks later said it came from his fascination with owning movies at home. We'll see the future. We'll catch up to the heroes. Number 10. Mel Brooks played 2 roles and suffered for both. When you're Mel Brooks, why stop at directing when you can also star in your own movie twice? In Spaceballs, Brooks pulled double duty, playing President Scroob, the galaxy's most clueless leader, and Yogurt, the tiny guru of the Schwartz. 2 roles, 2 accents, and a few pounds of gold body paint. Let's start with President Scroob, which, if you haven't noticed, is just Brooks spelled backward. Subtle.
President Scroob.
Yes.
This is Central Control. Spaceball Commanderette Zircon speaking, sir.
Yes, what is it, Commanderette?
Scroob is part Emperor Palpatine, part DMV manager, and completely a buffoon. He's the kind of villain who probably forgets his password and blames his entire staff for it. Brooks played him with pure exasperation, a bureaucrat so incompetent it's actually shocking his planet hasn't collapsed on itself. Then there's Yogurt, the wise, glittering parody of Yoda, who teaches Lone Star how to use the Schwartz while also promoting Spaceballs, the lunchbox, the coloring book, and the flamethrower. To nail Yogurt's voice, Brooks didn't have to look far.
Spaceballs the doll. Me.
May the Schwartz be with you.
He mixed Yoda's mystical speech rhythm with a thick New York deli owner accent, creating a character who sounded like he just finished slicing pastrami before dropping ancient wisdom on your head.
Upsy-daisy, upsy-marsy, upsy-daisy.
But getting into character was no joke. Brooks spent hours in gold makeup and prosthetics every single day, kneeling on set with hidden knee pads to look shorter. The gold makeup gave him a nasty rash, so the crew filmed his scenes out of order while his skin healed. Brooks laughed it off, calling himself a Jewish Oscar statue and saying it was totally worth it. And honestly, it was. Between Scroob's slapstick incompetence and Yogurt's glittering merchandising wisdom, Brooks proved once again that if you want something done right and funny, you just have to do it yourself, even if it means kneeling in gold paint while your skin screams for mercy.
Number 11. Princess Vespa wasn't your typical damsel. You'd think any character named Princess Vespa would be an easy joke, the spoiled royal who spends the whole movie waiting to be rescued. But that's not even close to the truth. In Spaceballs, Princess Vespa comes from the planet Druidia, but her name is pure Mel Brooks mischief.
Princess Vespa is in sight, and Spaceball 1 is closing in on her.
Good. It's a nod to the Italian scooter brand Vespa, and a sly hint that this princess was always built for speed. And honestly, that's perfect. Daphne Zuniga's Vespa wasn't sweet honey. She was sharp, impatient, and absolutely ready to sting. At first, Zuniga wasn't even sure she wanted the role. Known for her dramatic work, she worried she'd be reduced to a ditzy princess with a tiara and half a brain cell, just another damsel for the boys to rescue. But Mel Brooks shut that down immediately. He told her, "You're not a joke, everyone else is." That one direction changed everything. Instead of playing Vespa as clueless, Zuniga made her confident, quick-witted, and smarter than the men supposedly rescuing her. Lone Star might have been the hero, but Vespa was the one with the upper hand, even while dragging matched luggage across a desert in full bridal gear and snapping at Barf for shedding on her royal robes. Brooks wanted her to be the grounded one, the straight woman surrounded by intergalactic idiots, and it worked. Zuniga's sincerity gave the entire parody a center of gravity it desperately needed.
If you must know, I wasn't in love with the groom.
Why were you gonna marry him?
Because I'm a princess.
So while Vespa might sound like a silly pun, the princess herself was anything but.
She had all the attitude of a spoiled royal and the brains to match. Talk about a character with bite, fast name, quick wit, and zero patience for nonsense. Number 12. The disco song that nobody asked for. Remember when every great movie had to end with a pop song, even if it made absolutely no sense for the story? Spaceballs finishes with a synth-driven track.
Performed by R&B legends The Spinners, the song playfully nods to Star Wars orchestral grandeur while going full roller rink bop. And just to be clear, we are talking about those Spinners, the R&B legends behind Rubber Band Man.
Hey y'all, prepare yourself for the Rubber Band Man.
And I'll Be Around. Somehow, Mel Brooks convinced them to perform a synth-heavy song literally called Spaceballs. It wasn't meant to be a serious theme. It was Brooks poking fun at the majestic John Williams Star Wars score, the kind of orchestral music that made you feel like you were joining a galactic rebellion. Brooks thought it would be funnier if his parody had the complete opposite, a funky, self-aware bop that sounded like it belonged at a roller rink instead of a space battle. Co-written by Brooks and composer John Morris, the song fully embraced its own absurdity. Picture it, a respected soul group joyfully singing Spaceballs over a synth beat, like Weird Al crashed a wedding band set and nobody stopped him. Released as a promotional single in 1987, it didn't exactly top the charts, but it became an instant cult favorite among fans who rented the VHS and couldn't get the earworm out of their heads. One critic later described the soundtrack as John Williams meets Weird Al, which might be the most accurate sentence ever written about this movie. Brooks himself summed it up best when he called it the funkiest thing I've ever done. And for a man who once staged a musical number about the Spanish Inquisition, that's genuinely saying something. Only Mel Brooks could turn an epic space opera parody into a disco track and somehow make it work. Number 13. Pizza the Hut was a real rotting nightmare. Remember when movie villains were terrifying, menacing, and full of power? Yeah, Spaceballs took that idea literally and made it smell like a dumpster fire. Enter Pizza the Hut, the film's slimy crime boss.
Pizza the Hut!
Well, he wasn't a digital effect or even a simple costume. He was a full-blown animatronic puppet and a biohazard waiting to happen. The creature was designed by special effects artist Ken Diaz and brought to life by performer Rick Lazzarini, who operated the messy, heat-blasted suit from the inside. The build combined fiberglass, latex, and layers of heated cheese compound meant to ooze convincingly under the studio lights. It looked absolutely disgusting, because it actually was.
Whatever! Where's my money?
Don't worry, Pizza. You'll have it by next week.
No, I gotta have it by tomorrow.
To keep the goo flowing, the effects team had to keep the puppet warm under hot lamps. Within days, that mix of latex and fake cheese started to rot, filling the entire soundstage with a stench strong enough to make the crew gag. Lazzarini later joked that working inside the suit felt like being slow-baked for comedy. Between the lack of airflow, the heat, and the goo, it was tough going, but the end result was unforgettable. Mel Brooks, of course, couldn't resist joking about it. He told the crew he almost became part of the toppings. Meanwhile, the booming voice of Pizza the Hut came from the comfort of an air-conditioned recording booth, courtesy of Brooks's longtime collaborator Dom DeLuise, who perfectly captured the over-the-top personality of a gangster made entirely of fast food. By the time filming wrapped, the puppet had deteriorated so badly it couldn't even be saved. Still, it's hard to argue with the result. Pizza the Hut might have smelled awful, but he melted his way into movie legend. Number 14. The sequel that's actually happening. No, really. Spaceballs 2, The Search for More Money. It started as a throwaway joke in 1987, and nearly 4 decades later, it's finally becoming real. The running gag began right in the original film when Yogurt breaks the fourth wall to promote merchandise. Then he casually drops the sequel title, Spaceballs 2, The Search for More Money.
God willing, we'll all meet again in Spaceballs 2. The search for more money.
It was a perfect jab at Hollywood's obsession with sequels, Brooks's way of beating the studios to their own punchline before they could even pitch it. For decades, that line became one of comedy's most enduring inside jokes. Brooks kept it alive in interviews, teasing fans that he'd make a sequel as soon as Rick Moranis came out of retirement. And for the longest time, it really did just seem like that, a running gag.
Yogurt, what is this place? What is it that you do here?
Merchandising.
Merchandising? What's that?
Merchandising. Come, I'll show you.
Especially after the tragic losses of John Candy, Joan Rivers, and Dom DeLuise, who played Barf, Dot Matrix, and Pizza the Hut, a true reunion seemed impossible. But here's the twist. That decades-old joke is now becoming a real movie. Production has officially started at Amazon MGM Studios, with Brooks returning as producer, and once again donning the gold makeup as Yogurt and possibly President Scroob. A full table read has already taken place, and the film is slated for a theatrical release in 2027. The cast? Well, it's the best kind of nostalgia trip. Rick Moranis is ending his long hiatus to return as Dark Helmet. Bill Pullman and Daphne Zuniga are back as Lone Star and Princess Vespa. George Weiner returns as Colonel Sanders. Joining the galaxy this time are Josh Gad, who is also co-writing and producing, plus Keke Palmer and Louis Pullman, Bill's son, in new roles. The official title hasn't been revealed yet, and in true Brooks fashion, plot details are protected by an industrial-strength Schwartz shield. After decades of teasing, the search for more money has finally paid off, and in the most Mel Brooks way possible, the sequel to a parody is now making a parody of the very idea of making sequels in the first place.
We asked, what do the fans want? But instead, we're making this movie. May the Schwartz be with you.
Brooks could spend 40 years setting up a punchline and still make it land.
Number 15. From modest hit to cult classic. When Spaceballs hit theaters in 1987, it wasn't exactly the Schwartz Awakens. The movie made about $38 million on a $22 million budget. Decent, but nowhere near the Star Wars level numbers it was spoofing. Critics were split, too. Some said it was too silly, while others thought it was too self-aware. It seemed destined to be one of those quirky 80s parodies that came and went faster than a radar technician in a black helmet. But then came its second life, thanks to the greatest distribution system ever invented, VHS and cable TV. Once Spaceballs hit video rental stores, it became the go-to weekend tape, the kind of movie your parents rented just to see what the fuss was about, and then ended up quoting for the next 6 months.
What the hell am I looking at? When does this happen in the movie?
Now. You're looking at now, sir. Everything that happens now is happening now.
What happened to then?
Past that.
When?
Just now.
Its perfect mix of smart and silly humor made it endlessly rewatchable. And when cable networks picked it up, it ran constantly, sometimes twice a day, turning casual viewers into lifelong fans. By the mid-90s, Spaceballs had become a full-blown dorm room staple. Gen Xers could quote every line, from "May the Schwartz be with you" to
I knew it, I'm surrounded by assholes.
It was the kind of film you watched so many times that the tape covers started to peel off. The legacy only grew from there. Family Guy, South Park, and even Spaceballs, the animated series, which somehow aired in 2008, all kept the parody alive for new generations. Mel Brooks summed it up perfectly years later. It took longer to become a hit than it did to actually film it. And that's exactly what makes Spaceballs timeless.
Are we stopped?
We're stopped, sir.
Good. Well, why don't we take a 5-minute break?
It wasn't a mega blockbuster or a critical darling right out of the gate. It was a slow burn, a goofy, brilliant, endlessly quotable masterpiece that became a pop culture institution thanks to cable TV, college VHS players, and the people who never stopped laughing at it.
He did it.
Spaceballs didn't just spoof a galaxy far, far away. It built its own. One rental at a time, one cable rerun at a time, one kid discovering it in a friend's basement at a time. And now, 40 years later, it's getting a sequel. That punchline is finally paying off. May the Schwartz be with us always.
The Schwartz is in you, Lone Star. It's in you. All right.
And there you have it. 15 weird facts about Spaceballs that prove Mel Brooks was playing 40-dimensional chess while everyone else was still figuring out checkers. Which facts surprised you the most? Are you excited for Spaceballs 2 too? Let us know in the comments. And if you've ever tried to explain when will then be now to someone who hasn't seen the movie, you're one of us. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and oh, the answer to my favorite Mel Brooks movie, it's Young Frankenstein.